Chelsea head into tomorrow night's Premier League game against Wolves off of the back of a few shaky results. But with Wolves having no permanent manager, can we use that opportunity to put the game to bed quickly? Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And today, that means we're going to look at tomorrow night's game against Wolves. But before we do that, we are going to get into Maresca's press conference today and see if there's anything in there that might affect the game. But guys, before we get into it, if you're enjoying the content and would like to see more, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. Right, so press conference. Not a huge amount to talk about, actually. Normally it's like how long until this million players that are injured are coming back, and we've only got a couple at the moment. A couple of little things to worry about, but also he was asked about rotation and tactics and Estevao, and we're going to get into it all. When asked about Estevao, and this one was quite interesting in particular, is Estevao ready to start? And Enzo Maresca just came out and said yes, absolutely, he's ready to start, and he didn't say anything about him being young or anything like that. The only two things he mentioned pertaining to Estevao were he's still bedding into the living in the country and supposedly complained last week about it being cold, to which he responded, "You wait till December, January, mate. This is nothing," which is fair, right? But he also mentioned, like, if Estevao plays, then someone else is on the bench and they're not happy, and, kind of trying to say, that, he's got a big squad to keep happy and everyone needs to get minutes and this, that, and the other. It's like, yeah, okay, man. But at the end of the day, like, winning games comes before making your players happy that they're getting enough minutes, doesn't it? Like, there's myriad tales over the history of football of players leaving clubs or not being happy because they're not getting enough minutes, but those clubs are doing well. So yeah, nothing particularly eye-opening with that. Those are just Maresca's words about, rotation and the Estevao stuff in particular. Pertaining to team news, so we are in a similar situation as usual. Moises Caicedo, João Pedro, Enzo Fernandez, and Pedro Neto are not training every game. Pedro Neto has just been added into that list, as before it was just the three. But it seems that Neto is feeling the worst out of them all at the moment, because supposedly he's going to be assessed tomorrow to see whether he's ready to start the game or not. So that's a little bit of a worry. At least it would be a little bit of a worry if we didn't have an Estevao Willian, who he's just told us is ready to start waiting in the wings, so to speak. Just one thing before I get into the starting 11, I found this one quite funny. He was asked about long throws, not like how are you going to deal with them, asking about do you have any plans to integrate that tactic into your system? And he said, yes, we have plans, we're working on it, but not right now. So we can expect to see Chelsea hauling in long throws into the box, and it would be funny if it was Liam Delap, wouldn't it? Just after his dad Rory, that being his like signature thing, the long throw. But I don't even hate that, man. I don't even hate that. At the end of the day, like, if we can cause half as much confusion as other teams cause us when they're throwing long balls in, then yeah, cool. Like, I'm down. Let's just try it, especially in the big difficult games or the low block games. Do you know what I mean? In games against teams where we're, they've got low blocks and we're struggling to pass through them and stuff, set pieces become critical at that moment. And we're already doing pretty well for set pieces this season. So if we could add long throws into something that we can use against low block teams to try and open them up and create chaos and confusion in moments where we're struggling to get a goal and open the game up, like, I'm totally down with that, but by the sound of it, we're not going to see it soon. So that's the press conference news. That's everything he spoke about today. So without further ado, let's get into my predicted starting 11 for the Wolves game tomorrow night in the Premier League. And we'll start with the goalkeeper. We always start with the goalkeeper, and of course, it's Robert Sanchez. And I just don't ever want to see Philip Jorgensen in the sticks again, truth be told. I think the thing is just a bit different with Sanchez as well, isn't it? Like, goalkeepers, can play every game in a season. It's a Premier League game as well. Do you know what I mean? It's not like it's every time we've seen Philip Jorgensen so far, it's been in an extraneous cup game like against Ajax in the Champions League, which I was still quite surprised in, or the Lincoln game. Or obviously he did get that one Premier League game when Robert Sanchez got sent off. But apart from that, Philip Jorgensen only generally tends to get started in non-league games. So I think it's a fairly safe bet to assume that Sanchez will get the start in this game. And the rotation continues. I'll start with the centre-back pairing because I never really do that. I always go with the fullbacks first. I think we'll put in Josh Achiampong and Trevor Chalobah. Now, Josh Achiampong, in particular, I really, really, really want to see, because if we don't see Josh Achiampong tomorrow, that's 3 games that he will have been dropped for. Like, then it's being dropped at that point, isn't it? It's like, to have played 2 games really well and feature on the bench for subsequent games says that you're fit enough to be considered to be playing. So it's not like he's injured, do you know what I mean, or anything like that. Like, he's on the bench, he's around the team, he's still training. There's been nothing at all in the press or the press conferences or the media or anything saying that Josh isn't physically available for the games. So if Josh Achampong doesn't start tomorrow, then he's been dropped, hasn't he? And then that is going to beg questions. There could be arguments for the likes of Wesley Fofana, who's been playing well recently, but with him actually coming back from a massive injury, I expect to see Josh play. Trevor Chalobah has started 9 of our 10 Premier League games so far this season. I think the only one that he missed, I can't even remember. Was it the first game of the season? Maybe it was the first game of the season. I think that was Tosin and Josh Achampong, wasn't it? So Trevor Chalobah is our de facto starting centre-back for the Premier League this season. He's made the most starts in the Premier League out of any, and the majority of the centre-back pairings and combinations, all 8 of them, by the way, because there's been 8 different combinations so far, at least half of those have featured Trevor Chalobah. So Trevor Chalobah is hands down our most reliable centre-back this season. Well, no, not reliable. He's made a couple of little errors and a couple of little mistakes and stuff, but for the most part, he's getting started in all of the games. Do you know what I mean? The Premier League games in particular. So, yeah, I would be happy to see a pairing of Josh Achampong and Trevor Chalobah tomorrow, flanked by, on the right, Reece James. I don't feel like I need to see Malo Gusto in this game. Now, truth be told, I'm just going with what I want to see. I'm going to predict with my heart, not my head today. And I think that if I was predicting with my head, based on the fact that Caicedo had to play all of the last game and Enzo Fernandez is still feeling stuff, like, it is very possible that we see some sort of amalgamation of Reece James, Malo Gusto playing either of those right back / midfield positions, because we've seen it a million times. But in this respect, I'm going to go with Reece James in right back. And on the left, it is going to be Marc Cucurella, because Marc Cucurella is hands down, for me, one of the best left backs in the world, arguably the best left back in the Prem. And there is a conversation about whether he's better than Nuno Mendes at PSG or not. Nuno Mendes is probably most people's choice, but for me, Marc Cucurella's just got that personality, that character, that fantastic hair. So we'll move into midfield. And midfield, I'm being a little bit conservative. I'm going to say Moises Caicedo, because Moises Caicedo, again, much like Marc Cucurella, arguably best midfielder in the Premier League at the moment, one of the best sixes in the world. Every single time our team does well in the last 2 years, it's largely due to Moises Caicedo being in the team and being so good at that role. And the injury thing is a bit of a worry, but if he's being protected and looked after in the right way, then I hope he gets the start tomorrow. But I'm going to say Andre Santos partners him, because yeah, again, I mean, nothing surprises me about Maresca anymore. And doing these predicted 11s it's become so difficult, man. Do you know what I mean? It's become so difficult. But if we're going to rest someone, maybe Enzo gets the rest. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just kind of taking a stab in the dark. I think Moises Caicedo is more important than Enzo Fernandez. And Andre Santos has been playing reasonably well recently. Even if it's a case of like Santos gets 50 minutes and then Enzo Fernandez gets the rest of the game or something like that. But I'm just going to throw a wild one out there and suggest that Andre Santos might start the game against Wolves tomorrow. And we move into the attacking 3. So Garnacho scored, because Garnacho's got 2 goals now. Garnacho is starting to warm up, right? At the end of the day, he's, starting to understand the manager's instruction. He generally looks pretty dangerous when he's on. It still feels like a straight shootout between him and Gittins for the most part, but I do, maybe not quite a straight shootout. It does feel like Garnacho's on top, but there's been so much rotation. But for me, Garnacho has earned the start after the goal in the Qarabag game. It was a good goal. And we want to see some more from one of our wingers, right? And at the end of the day, you put the guy on that's just scored, didn't you? In the middle, I don't love it, but I'm going to say João Pedro. And I know I said I was going with my heart, but the truth of the fact is, if Neto is injured, which we'll come on to in a minute, maybe Estevao could start here. I would love to see Estevao get the start in the 10. Maresca said he's ready for this game. I think we've warmed up to the point now, do you know what I mean, where he can start a couple of games in a row. And he is our joint top scorer in the team so far this season. So Estevao, one way or the other, is going to get in there, little spoiler. But for this game, because Pedro Neto is the question, I'm going to assume that Pedro Neto is going to be rested, and I'm going to put João Pedro in the middle and Estevao, Willian on the right. So João Pedro, look, it's weird because he still didn't really massively put into the game the other day against Qarabag, but he looked better. He's been looking better in the last few games. He's been looking like he's getting a bit more involved. Obviously, he scored against Tottenham. Wicked. Absolutely loved that. Massive result for us. And even though he didn't make anything happen in the Karabag game. He looked more likely to than he has done in games that I've seen him a lot of in previous, do you know what I mean, in previous matches that he's played in. So, yeah, I'm going to say João Pedro. Now, honestly, I said I'm predicting with my heart, or not my head. It's kind of both at the end of the day. It's just so impossible to nail these things down at the moment, man. I actually think that João Pedro needs to spell out the team, if I'm completely honest. And if Pedro Neto was available, then I think that's what would happen. I think Estevao would get the start. But because Pedro Neto is the potential issue, I'm going to put Estevao on the right because he has been absolutely smashing it from that position, man. 5 goals for us this season, turning up in big moments. He made Liverpool's left back look silly. Do you know what I mean? He's absolutely earned this start at this moment, and it's against Wolves as well. Do you know what I mean? If this was like a really big game against like a City or a Liverpool again or something like that, do you know what I mean? Okay, maybe there's a conversation to be had. But against Wolves, I think you let Estevao Willian start to develop his form, didn't you? And up top, I'm going to go with Liam Delap. Liam Delap is back, I think, sort of. Tyreek George got the start in the Karabag game. That was definitely a faux pas from Maresca. The Mark Yu experiment is obviously over. Do you know what I mean? It's like Mark Yu didn't even get a sniff in that game. So yeah, for me, there isn't another choice other than Liam Delap. Liam Delap has played in a couple of games now. I just hope he's ready to start. Do you know what I mean? Again, I'm not really aware of how he's being treated and stuff. He's obviously getting game time. You know, we got 10 minutes in. Yeah, I can't remember who it was against now. My brain's a muddle. But 10 minutes in the game that he got sent off for. He got a reasonable amount. He had like half time. He got brought on at half time in the Karabag game. And yes, looked rusty, but also was a strikery presence that was arriving, you know, on the end of like nice threaded through balls that Reece James was putting in, and he was holding up the ball, and it was, you know, he ran with it a few times, took a couple of shots, needs a little bit more time to shake off the cobwebs and get rid of some of that rust, but ultimately Liam Delap is our best option for the striker at the moment, especially, well, João Pedro is arguably when he's on form, but João Pedro hasn't been on form for a really long time. So yeah, for me, Liam Delap gets the start. So that's it, guys. That's my very cobbled together predicted 11 for the game against Wolves tomorrow night. It is so hard to do these at the moment, man. Do you know what I mean? And you know, it's been hard all season. I haven't got a single one right. I've got 10 out of 11 quite a few times. And that's kind of what you can expect when your team is consistent. Do you know what I mean? But some of these lineups I've just got completely wrong, man. And like I say, it could even be that way tomorrow. We could see Malagusto feature and Reece James playing midfield, or we could see Enzo Fernandez playing the 10, or, you know, we could see Tyreek George up front, we could see Jamie Gittins on the left wing. It's just impossible to predict what's going to happen. There's so much nuance. The injuries apparently are a big thing. He just, you know, the centre-back situation isn't really about injuries at the moment, is it, other than Levi Colwill, but he just loves chopping and changing them around. I don't know, man. I don't know. Really, really tough one. But ultimately, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good game. Now, tonight, we will be doing a match preview on the Blue Lounge. I will be featuring on the Blue Lounge. So hop over there to have a chat with us and, you know, get involved in the comments. Tell us who you think will start in the starting 11. Give us your predictions. Pose us some questions, man. We absolutely love responding to interesting comments and questions in the chat on the Blue Lounge. Undecided yet. I might do a watch along tomorrow. It depends on what happens today. I've got some bits going on, but I would like to do a watch along for the game tomorrow. If not, I will be featuring on the Blue Lounge for a match review on the Sunday night. So nice one, guys. That is it. Thank you very much for sticking around until the end of the video if you did. And if you're chilling and you've got a tasty beverage and you fancy listening to some more Stamford Sync, why don't you check out this video here, which is a video about is Enzo Maresca the Tinkerer 2.0, and ultimately is just all about the rotation stuff. So nice one, guys. I hope you have an absolutely wicked day, and I'll catch up with you very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.